The watchtower was gone. Batman's final message? Cut off mid-sentence. Superman's cape, torn, bloodied, found in the ruins. Wonder Woman's sword, plunged into the ground, stood like a tombstone. And standing in the middle of the wreckage was Wolverine, his claws out, his eyes hollow. The world blamed him. But what if it wasn't his fault? They said the Justice League was unstoppable. Gods among mortals. Unbreakable. Untouchable. But then, overnight, they were gone. The watchtower obliterated. Pieces of it rained down across 4 continents like falling stars. The world's greatest protectors silenced. Superman missing. Wonder Woman presumed dead. Batman? No body. Only his shattered cowl, found on the remains of a destroyed satellite, still faintly glowing from heat. And standing at the center of the wreckage, claws out, covered in blood. Not theirs, not his, was Wolverine. That was all the world needed to see. A single drone photo. Fuzzy, smoke-choked. But clear enough. The image went viral in minutes. The headline practically wrote itself. Wolverine destroys Justice League. They dragged him in chains through the remnants of the watchtower. Not even vibranium cuffs, adamantium ones. Built for him. Built by someone who knew he'd be the last one standing. Wolverine didn't say a word. He didn't resist. He didn't scream. He didn't even snarl. Just sat there, eyes dull, like someone who had just lost a war no one else even knew had started. But here's the part the world didn't see. Here's the part no one ever told you. 3 days before the explosion, Bruce Wayne called him. No code. No bat protocols. Just one sentence. In a scrambled voice message buried behind 6 layers of encryption. Logan, I need you to come in. No explanation. No backup. No prep. And Wolverine knew immediately. If Batman was calling him, something was very wrong. He arrived at the watchtower unannounced. The moment he stepped through the teleporter, he felt it. Something was off. Too quiet. Too clean. Like the place had been scrubbed of life. The only one waiting to greet him? Superman. Not smiling. Not angry. Just watching. You weren't invited, Clark said flatly. Didn't think I needed one, Wolverine growled, brushing past him. Maybe you do now, Superman replied. And then he was gone. Just a blur of red and blue disappearing down the corridor. Wolverine wasn't here to play nice. He went straight to the lower levels, where Batman's private war room sat hidden behind a false wall of lead and alien tech. But even there, no sign of Bruce. Just a black file folder left on the desk, labeled only, Threat Convergence, LVL Omega. He flipped it open. Inside were photos, blurry, distorted, but unmistakable. One showed Wonder Woman, her eyes glowing black, not blue. Another showed Aquaman kneeling in front of something, or someone off camera. His trident shattered, his expression fear. And the last photo? It was of the Justice League asleep in cryopods. Every single member, except they weren't in the watchtower. They were on Earth, or somewhere that looked like Earth. And then the lights cut out. For 14 seconds, Wolverine stood alone in the dark, surrounded by the faint hum of hidden machines. And in that darkness, someone whispered, not behind him, not beside him, inside him, you're too late, Logan. The lights blinked back on. The folder was gone, and Batman's war room had been torn apart, like a wild animal had shredded it. No alarms, no alerts, just silence. When he emerged back onto the main floor, the League was waiting. Superman, Diana, Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter. But they didn't look right. Superman's eyes were too cold. Diana's lasso sparked with a kind of electricity it never had before. John looked scared. And then Batman stepped out from the shadows. Logan, he said, calm as ever. They're not themselves. That's when all hell broke loose. Wonder Woman attacked first, swinging her sword with a speed even Wolverine barely dodged. Superman didn't hesitate. One punch sent Logan crashing through 3 floors. He healed before he hit the ground, but just barely. This wasn't a fight. It was a purge. They were trying to kill him. Batman shouted something, threw a smoke bomb, tried to pull Diana back. "You're infected." But she struck him down with the flat of her blade. Logan realized it instantly. They were compromised. Something had gotten inside them, taken them over. Not mind control, not tech, something worse. He fought his way through them, slashing non-lethally, taking hit after hit. It didn't matter. They kept coming. And then the watchtower started to collapse. Explosions rippled through the walls, like the station itself was rejecting them. Logan made it to the core chamber. That's when he saw it. The source. A dark, pulsing orb growing between the watchtower's reactors. Feeding off power. Feeding off them. A parasite. Dimensional. Cosmic. And bleeding energy like a wound. Batman had tried to destroy it. That's why he called Logan. Because if anyone could survive the blast that would come next, it was him. Wolverine plunged his claws into the orb, and everything went white. He woke up in the ruins. Smoke, fire, silence. The League was gone, and the world was already blaming him. Wolverine should have been dead. That was the first thing that bothered him when he woke up. His body was healing, but slowly, too slowly. Bones knitting like they were tired. Muscles burning like they'd been poisoned. Whatever that thing in the watchtower was, it didn't just explode. It fought back. He dragged himself out of the wreckage hours after the blast. Long after the satellites stopped falling. Long after the world's alarms began screaming. By the time he reached Earth, the story had already been written without him. Justice League destroyed. Unknown cause. Wolverine last seen alive. They didn't need proof. They needed a villain. And Logan fit the role too well. He vanished into the wilderness before the Avengers or global forces could reach him. Healing, thinking, replaying everything frame by frame. Batman didn't call him for backup. Batman called him as insurance. Because Batman already knew how this would end. 2 days passed before Logan finally understood what Bruce had tried to warn him about. It wasn't possession. It wasn't corruption. It was replacement. The thing in the watchtower hadn't attacked the League directly. It studied them, copied them, built echoes. Not clones, mirrors. Same powers, same memories, same voices, but hollow. That's why they felt wrong. That's why Superman didn't hesitate. That's why Wonder Woman struck first. They weren't the League. They were wearing them. Logan tracked Bruce's last digital breadcrumbs to an abandoned Wayne Tech black site buried beneath the Arctic ice. No guards, no power, just a single chamber still humming faintly, protected by tech older than the watchtower itself. Inside was Bruce's contingency vault, and a message, recorded hours before the destruction. Batman stood in the projection, bruised, bleeding, but alive. "If you're seeing this," Bruce said, "then it means the League has fallen, or you have." Logan clenched his fists. Bruce continued, "The entity we found isn't invading worlds. It's harvesting them. It copies heroes, replaces them, then uses their reputations to destabilize everything that follows." Images flashed, worlds burning, civilizations collapsing, not from invasion, but from betrayal. Superman was the first target, Bruce said. Not because he's strongest, because he's trusted. Logan growled low. "They almost got me," Bruce admitted, "but they underestimated paranoia." The recording glitched. "I brought you in because you don't belong to their system. You don't think like them, and you heal fast enough to survive what comes next." Bruce paused. "And because if this fails, you'll be the only one left who knows the truth." The message ended. Logan stood alone in the frozen silence, finally understanding the weight Batman had placed on him. The League didn't fall in a battle. They were replaced quietly, and now the replacements were loose on Earth. That's when the Avengers found him. Iron Man didn't come in weapons hot. That alone told Logan how bad things were. "You're supposed to be dead," Stark said. "Yeah," Logan replied. "So are your new friends." Captain America stepped forward, shield raised, but uncertain. "The League's replacements," Logan said. "They're not them." Thor's grip tightened on his hammer. "We felt it," Thor admitted. "A distortion, as if something wore my brother's face once." Logan nodded. "Same thing. Bigger scale. Strange spoke next, voice grim. "We've detected identical energy signatures across the globe. Hero sightings that don't add up." Iron Man exhaled sharply. "So the League isn't gone?" "No," Logan said. "They're being used." That was when the call came in. A live broadcast. Superman, or someone wearing him, addressing the world, calling for global disarmament, immediate surrender of all enhanced individuals, declaring the age of heroes over. The crowd cheered. Logan felt sick. That thing had already won half the war without throwing a punch. The Avengers argued. Strategy, damage control, public relations. Logan didn't wait. He knew Bruce's playbook. Find the source, cut the head, burn what remains. He left before anyone could stop him. Tracking the energy trail led him to somewhere impossible. The Phantom Zone. Not the prison itself, but something built inside it. A structure growing between dimensions, feeding, replicating, and inside it rows and rows of suspended figures. The real League, alive, weak, drained. Superman floating unconscious. Batman restrained by psychic dampeners. Wonder Woman bound in chains made of her own mythic energy. They were batteries. Logan reached the containment field and slammed his claws into it. The entity reacted instantly. The walls screamed. And then it spoke, not with one voice, but many. Batman's voice. Superman's voice. Wonder Woman's voice. All futures converge, it said. Heroes are obsolete. Symbols are enough. Logan snarled. You picked the wrong damn symbol. He fought like an animal, like a weapon, like the last man alive. But the entity was learning, adapting. And then the trap closed. Energy surged. The Phantom Zone collapsed inward. Logan was thrown back into reality alone. The League was gone again. And Earth believed Superman had just declared war. Logan stood there bloodied, exhausted, blamed by two worlds. Batman was right. This was never about winning. It was about surviving long enough to expose the lie. And Logan was now the only one who could. The world believed Superman had turned authoritarian. But no one noticed Wolverine had vanished. Not the governments. Not the heroes. Not even the Avengers. While Earth debated whether to kneel or resist, Logan was already bleeding in a gutter outside Madripoor, barely conscious, half a lung regenerating after a fight no one would remember. The replacements had sent assassins, quiet ones, familiar faces. The Flash, but without a heartbeat. Green Lantern, but the ring glowed red. They weren't just copies now. They were evolving, learning Wolverine's weaknesses, isolating him, making sure the one man who knew the truth didn't survive long enough to tell it. By the time the Avengers caught up, Logan had already lost 3 fingers, a rib, and most of his patience. You look like L, Iron Man said. I've seen it, Logan growled. And it's wearing your friends' faces. Captain Marvel hovered above them, scanning for life forms. You've been off-grid for a week. Not off-grid, Logan replied. Hunted. Tony's eyes narrowed. By who? By the League, Logan said. What's left of it? But it wasn't just the League anymore. The infection had spread. Hawkeye had been acting strange. Black Widow hadn't checked in. Strange was meditating too long, saying too little. Logan looked at the Avengers and saw the fear they wouldn't admit. They were next. Then it happened. The broadcast cut in again. But this time it wasn't Superman. It was Batman. He stood at a podium, surrounded by what looked like surviving League members. The backdrop was the United Nations. The message, Global Reformation Directive. A new alliance. All superpowered individuals were ordered to register, report, and submit to cleansing protocols to ensure dimensional purity. The words were exact. Dimensional. Purity. Logan's blood went cold. That wasn't Bruce. That was the entity using his body and rewriting the planet's future one speech at a time. Shut it down, Logan snapped. But Iron Man didn't move. Neither did Cap. Because behind the camera, standing silently with glowing red eyes, was Vision. And that's when Logan knew. It had already begun. The copies weren't just infiltrating the League. They were replacing the Avengers too. Later that night, while most of the team debated how to respond to Batman's broadcast, Wolverine found Natasha sitting alone in the dark. "You're not her," he said. She smiled. "Neither are you." She struck first, blade to throat, followed by 2 quick stabs to his gut. But Logan didn't go down easy. They fought through 4 floors of the compound, tearing through steel and secrets. By the time Tony arrived, Logan had half his face clawed off, but Natasha was dead. Not bleeding, not even wounded. She dissolved into dust, black, shimmering dust. And she smiled as she vanished. Tony looked at Logan like he was a monster. "You killed her." "No," Logan said. "I ended what took her." Tony's suit activated instantly. He didn't believe a word of it. They fought hard, brutal. No quips, no holding back. Logan stabbed through 3 layers of Stark's chest plate before Thor intervened, dropping Mjolnir between them. Enough to knock Logan out cold. When he woke, he was locked in a containment field deep beneath Wakanda. Shuri stood outside the glass. "You're the virus now," she said. "Half the planet wants your head." "Then maybe they're already gone too," Logan replied. She didn't laugh, didn't blink, just walked away. Days passed. No visitors, no answers. Then the lights died. The alarm screamed. And something wearing Chalia's voice, ordered the lab doors to seal. Logan barely had time to brace before the explosion blew out the side of the mountain. When the dust settled, he wasn't alone. Captain America was waiting, but not with a rescue team. With a shield made of liquid light and eyes that glowed like kryptonite. The infection had reached Wakanda. Cap attacked without a word. Logan didn't hold back. This wasn't Steve Rogers. This was a mask stretched over a dead idea. They fought under a broken sky, across molten rock and collapsing tech. Wolverine bled more than he healed, but he won. Barely. The fake Rogers crumbled to ash, but not before whispering, "Even your memories will betray you." Logan collapsed. Fire behind him, ice in his lungs. And in that moment, he realized something terrifying. The entity wasn't just copying bodies. It was rewriting history, changing files, corrupting records, replacing memory itself. Soon, there would be no one left to even remember the real Justice League or the real Avengers. Only the replacements, only the lie. Logan fled again, this time underground, back to the shadows, not to fight, to survive, to find one last ember of the old world, someone who remembered the truth. And he knew exactly where to start. There was still one hero who had escaped replacement, because he didn't exist in this timeline. Yet, Wolverine had bled in 100 timelines, but never like this. He wasn't healing right. The wounds from the fake Rogers still pulsed like they were alive. His bones ached. His memories twitched. The infection wasn't just copying the world now. It was trying to overwrite him. But he wasn't built to break. Not like that. He just needed time. Time, or someone outside of it. There was one name Bruce had whispered once. One last resort protocol buried deep in the Batcave's black archives. A fail-safe never meant to activate. Codename Phantom Zero. A person who wasn't born, wasn't from Earth, wasn't even supposed to exist. But he did, because the multiverse is a bad habit, and sometimes accidents leak through. Logan found him drifting between timelines, hiding inside a pocket dimension wrapped in chaos, energy, and regret. He looked like a teenager, wore a cracked hoodie, glitching with every breath. Sometimes his face changed mid-sentence. And his name? John Kent, he said. But not the one you know. Wolverine didn't blink. Good. This John was a version that had been erased during crisis. A timeline that didn't stick. A son of Superman who never got to grow up. Who saw every version of his father die screaming at the hands of fakes. He knew what Logan had seen, felt it before he even asked. They're not just replacing heroes, John said. They're replacing hope. Wolverine grunted. Then we give it back. John opened his hands. A map of timelines unfolded midair, glowing like shattered glass. So many universes, so many variants, and all of them infected, slowly, methodically. But one thread remained unbroken. One timeline sealed off, untouched. Why? Logan asked. John's face darkened. Because he died too early there, he said, before they could reach him. Logan narrowed his eyes. Who? John pointed to the thread. You. In this universe, Logan never joined the X-Men, never got tangled in mutant politics. He stayed wild, free, hidden in the Canadian North like a ghost story. But because he never became a public figure, he was invisible to the entity, untraceable. That version of Logan was their only shot. John opened a rift, unstable, violent, screaming with cosmic wind. You go in, he said. You bring him out. Will he fight? Logan asked. John didn't answer. He didn't have to. Logan stepped through the breach and dropped into a world of snow and silence. No cities, no Avengers, no wars, just forests and howling wolves. And at the center of it all, a cabin. He was inside, sharpening a blade that didn't need sharpening. Still wild, still dangerous, but quieter, like a storm that had learned how to rest. And when Logan stepped in, the other him didn't flinch. He just looked up, one yellow eye glinting. Finally came to kill me. Huh? No, Logan said. Came to ask for help. Other, Logan grunted. Worse. They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled between them. Then the elder Logan spoke. They replaced them, didn't they? All of them, Logan said. You're the last clean one left. Then we're screwed. Not yet. Logan opened his palm. A piece of the infection writhed inside a containment shard, pulled from the ashes of the fake Captain America. It hissed when it saw the second Wolverine. Guess you don't like me, the elder Logan muttered. Good, said the first. Means we're still dangerous. They didn't shake hands. Wolverines don't do that. They just geared up. Bone claws met adamantium. Old instincts synced in silence. And when John reopened the rift, both stepped through. Two Logans. One timeline left to burn. They hit New York first. Or what was left of it. The skies were blood red. Statues of Superman towered over every skyline. Drone sentinels hovered like vultures. Civilians wore emotionless masks and carried mandatory hero purity cards. And in the middle of it all, the Hall of Justice, rebuilt as a monument to the new order. They didn't sneak in. They kicked the damn door down. The alarm screamed. But the heroes that arrived weren't heroes. Fake Thor. Copy Wonder Woman. A twisted version of Jean Grey who burned without warmth. They came fast, but not faster than two Wolverines. They fought like animals. No mercy, no rules, just blood and instinct and fury. One healed fast, the other hit harder. Together, they carved through the rot like it was paper. At the top of the tower, the Thing waited. Not a man, not a god, a collective, a hive of stolen faces. Dozens of Supermen, dozens of Batmen, Avengers, mutants, lanterns, titans, all speaking in one voice. All futures must submit. Logan tossed the containment shard. Then take your future back. It exploded in psychic flame. John tore open the fabric of the room, exposing the raw timeline beneath. And both Logans leapt in, dragging the hive into the stream, kicking, clawing, burning. Reality folded. Time cracked. And for one perfect second, the entity faltered. That's all they needed. John Kent sealed the breach. The infected timeline began to collapse. The world shook. And then, silence. When Logan woke up, he was alone. Back in his original world. New York was whole. The Hall of Justice abandoned. Superman was flying again. The real one. Wonder Woman walked the streets. Batman vanished into shadow. No one remembered the war, except Logan. And somewhere in some timeline, a second him was still watching, waiting, guarding the edge of reality with a blade in each hand. Because replacements can come back. And now they know what he looks like. The world moved on. The statues came down. The skies cleared. The Justice League was back. The Avengers too. peace returned like it had never been gone. People smiled again. The media said it was a cyber attack, a multiversal glitch. Nothing to worry about. A blip, a memory hole. But Wolverine remembered everything, because he never forgets pain. He stood on a rooftop in Manhattan, watching Superman fly overhead, cape trailing like a flag. It looked perfect, too perfect. They were back, but not all of them. Bruce was still gone, and no one seemed to notice. Batman's name didn't show up in any reports. No surveillance picked up his signal. No sightings. Nothing. Like he'd never existed. Logan felt it in his bones. This wasn't over. The replacements were gone. The hive was destroyed. But the thing that built it, that spark, it had left something behind. Not in the world. Not in the timeline. In him. His claws didn't feel the same. They twitched sometimes. Vibrated. Like they remembered fighting themselves. His healing was too fast now. Too precise. Almost clinical. Even his instincts were quieter. Controlled. Too controlled. Then the dreams started. He saw Batman in them. Tied to a machine. Floating in an endless white void. His voice silent, but his eyes screaming. Every night, Logan heard one phrase. This timeline is a lie. He didn't tell anyone. Not Strange. Not Stark. Not Kent. Because deep down he knew. If he spoke it out loud, they'd erase him too. So he hunted the lie quietly. He searched old ruins, broken tech, forgotten servers. And in one abandoned lab, beneath Bloodhaven, he found it. One file. He had to slice through 10 inches of concrete and decrypt alien code to open it. Inside, a video. Corrupted. Barely audible. But the voice was clear. Batman. Real. Panicked. If they win, if they overwrite me, they'll replace the concept of memory itself. The world will never know it was changed. Wolverine is the only one outside the stream. He is the constant. Logan froze. All this time, he thought he was a weapon, a survivor, a liability. But he wasn't. He was the safeguard. The one thing in the multiverse too wild, too broken, too stubborn to rewrite. That's why Batman called him. That's why the entity feared him. That's why he still remembered. Because he wasn't meant to forget. Not ever. He copied the file, hid it in the one place no one would look, the adamantium in his own body. Then he walked out, burned the lab, erased his trail. The world didn't need to know. Not yet. But the cracks were forming again. Subtle things. A reporter asked Wonder Woman about a battle she'd never fought. She smiled politely, but her eyes flickered like buffering. Green Lantern called Logan Scott once. No one caught it, except Logan doesn't have a variant named Scott. Then someone hacked the back computer, pulled up files labeled Echo Protocol, and vanished. That's when Logan understood the real cost. The replacements were self-replicating. Even in defeat, they left seeds. And one day, someone would find them, try to use them, rebuild them, twist the idea of heroes into something easier to sell, something shinier, safer, fake. And when they did, the world would forget again, unless someone was there to remind them. So Logan made a choice. He disappeared. No goodbyes. No warnings. He left a single note in the X-Mansion, taped to Cerebro. It said, "If I ever show up and smile too much, kill me." Then he vanished into the wilderness. He walks alone now. No teams. No timeline. Just a man with claws and the burden of memory. He hunts echoes in the dark corners of the multiverse. Silently, ruthlessly. Because someone has to remember what the world is too scared to keep. The Justice League didn't fall because they were weak. They fell because they were trusted. And Wolverine, he was never trusted, never polished, never controlled. Exactly how Batman wanted it. Exactly what the world needs. Because when the fakes return, and they always do, he'll be waiting. End of series.